Hello friends, welcome to another Hardcore Bob tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about a wonderful little plugin called the RC20, also known as Retro Color, made by the fine folks over at XLN Audio. As you can see here, there's all sorts of wonderful little parameters here that you would never think to put into one little plugin. We have noise, wobble, distort, digital, space, and magnetic. Down here we have this sort of EQ module, sort of a place where you can dial in the tone just how you like it. And of course, as with most plugins, we have our gain in, that is our volume into the plugin. We manipulate it, and then our volume out of the plugin. And then that lovely word that I struggle so much to say, width. The width. Now the song we'll be working with today is a wonderful little number I wrote with a couple of friends of mine called Eyes on You, and it was recorded by an artist named Ben Dover. That's Ben Dover. Be sure to check him out on a Spotify near you. So I'll just start by playing this little chorus here. Of course, I'll play it without any RC20 on there at all.
They look you up and down and say, ooh, baby, every time you walk into a room, baby, everybody's eyes on you. Eyes on you. Know exactly how.
Very good. That one just has a very fun beat to it, that one, doesn't it? So why don't we go ahead and improve this a little bit? I was feeling as though the vocals were a little bit raw or dry or just sort of uneventful and could use a little bit of flourishing. So this is a perfect opportunity to try out our RC20 plugin. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Now the first thing you might notice is there's a little drop-down menu here of just a couple of wonderful presets. There's the 808 Crush and the 808 Dirt Punch. Let's see what that sounds like.
Look you up and down and say, ooh, baby.
Golly, that really does sound like you're just getting punched by some dirt. So there's all kinds of fun things here for different sort of instruments. But what we're going to do is actually talk about these parameters one by one. Now the first parameter, let's talk about that. It's called noise. And what that is exactly what it sounds like. It adds sort of that vinyl hissy crackiness to your song. Let's just put that on the vocal and see what that sounds like. Just a nice little touch of it.
You up and down and say, ooh, baby.
Okay, so I'm just going to put on a little bit of vinyl here.
Baby, everybody's eyes on you.
Very nice. You see how it sort of gives it that old sort of Motown setting? Now down here where it says tone, it sort of messes with the lowness of the hiss, right? And then there's the high, crispy sort of hiss to it. There's a parameter here called follow. Let's see what that does.
They look you up and down and say, ooh, baby, every time you walk into a room.
So what that did, if you noticed, was that it made the hiss follow the vocal. That is to say that when the vocal wasn't happening, it would turn off. So there was this sort of stuttering effect that was going on. Now this duck setting, I believe, was designed to sort of make the vocal sound a little bit more like a duck. So let's see what that sounds like.
Look you up and down and say, ooh, baby, every time you walk into a room, baby,
So that didn't really make it sound much like a duck at all. In fact, it seemed to do the opposite of follow, which is to say that the static now is in between the singing rather than on top of the singing. That's very interesting. The next parameter I'd like to play with is something called wobble. So the first thing we have is sort of a fluttering sort of wobble on the right, and you could change that if you like to more of a wow-ish wobble. Let's go ahead and listen to what that sounds like.
everybody's eyes on you.
Wonderful.
Baby, where you keep them eyes on you.
Actually, this was better.
Every time you know exactly how to move, baby. Act like you don't see it, but you do, baby. Where you keep them eyes on you.
Oh, that sure sounds like two people who can't walk straight, doesn't it? Now let's move on to distortion. We can toggle around with some of these different kinds of distortions. There's the heavier ones like heavy and the airier ones like air. So let's go ahead and put that on the vocal just a little bit.
They look you up and down and say, ooh, baby.
Let's do just a touch more than that.
Into a room, baby, everybody's eyes on you.
Just beautiful. Really natural. The next parameter I'd like to talk about is something called digital. Digital sort of does that thing where it makes it sound more digital.
Ooh.
I think I'm pretty happy with that setting there. Let's add a little space.
Ooh, baby, every time you walk into a room,
Just a little more. Okay, and last but not least, we've got this little parameter here called magnetic, and that sort of gives it this feeling of being magnetic.
Baby, every time you walk into a room, baby, everybody's eyes on you.
Okay, now I don't know that I would so much call that magnetic as I would more of a, talking directly in front of a fan, or maybe you're a bee. That is sometimes a quality that you do want in a vocal. But let's see what happens when we start to put these parameters together and see what that sounds like.
Baby, every time you walk into a room, baby, everybody's eyes
There it is. Maybe that could come down a little bit here. Actually, it was better here. Let's add a little distortion. RC20 is also a fantastic tool on certain instruments, such as, for example, this plucking sound we have here. How about a little noise? Little wobble. Let's make that a little bit digital. Touch of distortion. Oh, did you hear the difference? Here's with. And without. One more time with. You hear how that sits just nicely over the track, sort of tucked right on top of it like that. So there you have it. It's easy to miss the distinction if you're not really paying attention. Now, because RC20 is just such a versatile plugin, it's one of the reasons it's in my top 5 picks of best plugins to go on absolutely everything. So I love to put RC20 here on my master chain. So let's go ahead and put the settings back to where we had them. And one thing I forgot to show you is this wonderful little magnitude slider here. All that is, folks, is a sliding bar asking you how much of RC20 would you like blended into your track. So in this case, we can do nothing or very little or absolutely everything. Now, let's just go ahead and dial these in just how we had them before. So a little bit of that, a little of that, a little more of that. Yeah. Yep, that was there. Then we had some here, magnetic, if you remember. And space. Very nice. Okay, let's play the song down and sort of see. So now none of the RC20 is working. Let's add magnitude here.
Baby, everybody's eyes on you.
Now let's turn up the gain a little bit. It was just a little bit louder than I anticipated, but that's all right. Of course, that's what mix engineers are for. So did you notice how when we put it on the master bus like that, it sort of gave a little shape to the overall sound, a little just sort of a tucking under. So there you have it. In the description box below, you'll find a link where you can purchase it. And of course, I encourage you all to pick yourselves up a copy of this wonderful little plugin. It's really quite a secret weapon in the industry, as I've heard it described. And if you enjoy these little tutorials, go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe and tell your friends about it and bring them along to our little community. All right, folks, until next time, this is Hardcore Bob.